Amp Media Production presents Gypsy Soul, your one-stop shop for letting out your inner gypsy. Join Denise Marsh as she brings on a variety of guests to share their artistic vision with the world.
Hi, everyone. Welcome back to Gypsy Soul. It's great to be here. And it's almost the end of the week, and it's been a week. I was wondering if any of you did something to make yourself feel better, if you had like a source of catharsis, which is one of my favorite things to say and one of my favorite words. Well, my catharsis is I write. If I'm depressed, I write. If I'm happy, I write. If I'm sad, I write. And I do a lot of poetry, and it gets me through everything. That's why I have over 400 poems and 2 books. Well, another catharsis I have is art, and it's mostly looking at other people's art. And so I started to follow this amazing woman on Instagram, and yes, I do go on Instagram quite often, and she was an artist that was just out of this world. And I felt like I had a connection with her. I felt like there was a special bond between us. So when I started doing this radio gig, I said to her one day, I would love for you to be on my show. And I did not expect her to say yes, and she said, sure. And that was the start of a beautiful relationship. So when you see her art, you're going to want to hear more about her. You're going to want to buy some of her things. She is out of this world, and she has a very powerful story to tell. Her catharsis is art. She takes all of her healing, and she puts it into her passion. And when we come back from the commercial break, you're going to get to meet this wonderful artist named Sarah Dalesandro. I hope I'm saying her name right. Sarah Dalesandro, there we go. I'm looking forward to meeting her. And this interview was virtual, so it's something different, but I think you'll be very pleased. And I look forward to introducing her after the commercial break. I'll see you soon. Stay tuned.
Max Health Chiropractic, located in the heart of Wellington, Florida, is the area's premier chiropractic office. Dr. Max Cohen and our highly skilled team want to be your natural health care provider. Everyone should be able to move, work, and play at their best, regardless of age. We offer a wide range of advanced chiropractic techniques and therapies to eliminate pain, enhance performance, and improve mobility and function. Set your appointment with Max Health Chiropractic today.
And we're back. And I can't wait for you to meet Sarah Dalesandro, and she should be coming to the screen any moment. So here she is in the flesh. Well, almost, right? In the flesh from Ohio. Is it Ohio? Or am I getting it wrong? So this is Sarah Dalesandro, and I'm going to be interviewing you. And just feel free to be yourself. I see you're in your studio already, which is awesome.
Yes, thank you, Denise. I'm so happy to be here.
And I'm so happy you're here, too. I feel like you're sitting right next to me. So
Good.
I'm going to ask you some questions, but if you want to go more into something, feel free to do that. But I
Sure.
just want to show them one little thing, if I could just show
Yes.
them something. So I told everyone how I love art, and Sarah has a lot of wonderful merch on Instagram, and I told her there was one thing I really, really loved, and she sent it to me as a present. And this is the amazing journal that she made, and she did the art. Look at this. Could we zoom into this? This is amazing. Look at, and it's called Kiss the Flame.
Thank you.
Right.
Yes.
Which is,
Kiss the Flame.
I've already started to write in it. I love it.
Oh, I'm so glad. I'm so glad.
Okay, so, Sarah, at what age did you know that you wanted to be an artist?
Well, I was making art even in kindergarten and first grade that was being chosen for my class and my school for larger competitions in drawing. And so it was kind of always with me as this early memory of something I liked to do. And then by the time I was 15, I started painting, and I knew by then that it was a special thing in my life.
Did people tell you, look, your art is so good, or you felt like it was good? You knew that it was outstanding, sort of?
I mean, people told me I didn't necessarily think it was outstanding when I was a child, partly because I saw a lot of kids who were better illustrators than me, but I didn't ever let that factor in because I always loved color so much. So I didn't get really hung up when I was younger on accuracy, or even though there were lots of other kids and artists in the groups I was in that were far superior with accuracy and drawing and things like that. But I was always drawn to the process and the color, and people did compliment me, but I didn't feel like, wow, like I am this artist. I just was like, it's what I like to do, and I'm going to keep doing it.
And isn't it nice to be able to make money off of something that you like to do? It's like the best feeling because it's not really like working, right?
Yeah, yeah, it's a little complicated with art, as you know, and writing and music and stuff. It works out, but it can also be weird because I've learned. I guess one of the biggest lessons I've learned about the process is I have to make the art from my soul, and when I don't do that, because there have been times in the past where I was trying to tailor the art, and it's a whole different kind of skill set, I guess, when you're tailoring art for people. It's just a different animal altogether. And so I think a lot of artists and writers and musicians can kind of struggle with that dynamic.
I do.
Because I saw a musician say recently, if the minute you're making art for someone else, it's no longer your art. And I was like,
Because
oh
you're
my
getting the
gosh.
public's view. It's not your view anymore. And it becomes more contrived almost, right?
Yeah,
I get
yeah.
it. I have that with my writing too. And so sometimes I just don't listen to people for a while and I stick with something I heard or something I wrote and I keep going back to that. I know you do a lot of that with your art because I've seen a lot of it on Instagram where you've said, this isn't finished yet and I'm coming back to it.
Yeah, I have a lot of stuff that I come back to over a long period of time, because that's just how my process is. If I'm making paintings with lots of layers, like this one only has one layer, but this one took 7 years and has three or four.
I love that. Can you tell us more about the one on the right with the flowing,
The
with
red,
the
the red
flowing
one.
hair?
So this one I titled "Be the Shift You Wish to See," and it originally was an abstract painting in 2017 that lived as an abstract in my home for a few years, and then I ended up on top of the abstract painting putting a figure, but it was kind of like this figure, but her back was turned, so it was just kind of her back and her hair flowing in the wind. And it lived like that for a few years. And then one day I was like, this just has to change. And so I painted over it completely and made a new abstract layer that was blue. And I thought it might live as a landscape inspired piece. And then suddenly one day I added the red figure and continued to add and kind of carve into the paint with the end of the brush some, because it was getting so thick. Um, and you can kind of see,
The
like, yeah,
eyes.
I'm looking
Tell
at it
us,
in the mirror.
can you tell us
But
about
like
the
all of this,
eyes?
there's
The
carving
eyes are
in the oil
so,
paint. So it was just what needed to happen with this piece. And so this one in particular was very much constructed just out of need, my emotional needs, over the course of its life. And now it's so beautiful. I never would have imagined, because I was kind of like, really, we're gonna paint over this goddess you already had, in your house for a few years. But I do that sometimes.
and you probably get a different look each time you do it. Like you add things to it, you layer it. Like I noticed that in that picture, there's all these eyes. Can you tell us
Yes,
about
the
the
eyes
eyes?
and the
Yeah.
hair. Yeah, I saw one, and then I was like, oh, I'll put an eye, and then I put a few more, and I was like, I like that.
Is it chakra? Do the eyes have to do with your chakra?
Um, no, but the throat. I feel like the throat chakra is kind of accentuated here. The
Yes.
voice. So
I have a quick question, and I realized I didn't put it in my notes, but I just thought of it because I've been thinking about it as I've been following you. Your paintings, they seem very autobiographical, and it looks like you in the painting. So I'm
Yeah.
thinking that that's what you want to project, that it's you, that this is you in some sort of sphere, different sphere, obviously not, in real time. But
Yeah.
could you address that? Could you tell us more about
Yeah,
that?
yeah, I think so. People have asked me that over the years, and it's I don't have like a clear answer, and I should probably like work on that more. And I don't know if I will always paint female figures, but for the last several years, it was just something I wanted to master, and maybe it again was just me mastering my own journey, and maybe it'll evolve into other subject matter or more animals or something. But I love painting the hair. It's very soothing for me to paint like the tendril hair, which I know looks like my hair, and I don't know why. It's just how it comes out.
It does. It
But
looks like you.
yeah,
It's
yeah. So I mean, it's I poured like this one in particular. I remember this was back in January, and I was on the phone with my friend because sometimes when I paint and talk, it's almost like two people. It's like part of me is like blah 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 blah, and then I swear my hand is over here just relaxing this other part of my brain, kind of. And I thought to myself, I was really working through all kinds of stuff I was telling them about, like old stuff. I was just, venting and talking and telling long stories over several hours. And I was like,
at the same
this is
time.
all that conversation with that person, of whatever I was trying to just work through. It's just, and so it's almost like I couldn't ever replicate that, because it just came out at that time, and it was January and snowing, and I just needed to talk and go into detail. And as I went into detail, it just came out. And that's what I love, is I feel like when you see the colors bleed, even if you're just finger painting, or you don't have to make something or make something good or any of that. I think when your eyes watch color move around and kind of bleed, especially if you're opening yourself up to things you want to release, or even talking to a friend or whatever, talking to yourself, I think that's so cathartic in and of itself. There's something about the color just kind of moving around that it like massages your brain and kind of makes the memories feel softer.
That's the whole thing with like color psychology and color therapy. But I wanted to ask you about you have a mission statement, and you talk a lot about it on Instagram about turning your pain into passion. Could you tell us a little bit about that? Because it's very interesting.
Yes, yes. So I came to a point along my creative journey where I really, really started to understand that some of the most powerful fuel you have to turn into creativity is your pain and trauma. So it's almost like putting gas in the car of your creativity is when you've got a lot of stuff, painful stuff that you don't want to deal with, but then suddenly a day comes along and you're like, I'm going to deal with it. And I'm going to deal with it in this really beautiful, interesting way. And again, whether that's writing or art or music, or somehow you're harnessing that fuel of your pain, and it pushes you to just let it out.
It's like breathing, right? It's like
Yes.
breathing, your art.
Yeah.
I want to definitely talk to you more, and I want to ask more about where we can see more of your art. But we're going to go to a short commercial break, and then we'll hear more about that, Sarah.
Okay.
So hang tight. Everyone hang tight, because you're going to not want to miss this out on this.
Max Health Chiropractic, located in the heart of Wellington, Florida, is the area's premier chiropractic office. Dr. Max Cohen and our highly skilled team want to be your natural healthcare provider. Everyone should be able to move, work, and play at their best, regardless of age. We offer a wide range of advanced chiropractic techniques and therapies to eliminate pain, enhance performance, and improve mobility and function. Set your appointment with Max Health Chiropractic today.
And we're back. And I'm going to ask Sarah about where we can see more of her art, because I think there's a lot more to see than just what we're seeing here. So, Sarah, where can we find your art and where can we buy it? Oh, wait, the sound isn't on. Your audio isn't on, Sarah. The sound? That happens to me all the time.
Now?
Yes, we can hear you now.
Oh,
Loud and
okay.
clear. Thank you.
Okay.
So,
I have originals and prints and hand painted prints and journals on my website at sarahdelesandro.com. And my kind of daily creative journey I keep up with on Instagram. So I consider Instagram almost like my book, where if you were to like go through all the posts or even go scroll down and then kind of go back up, it tells a story over time. And so that's the main place. I try to also post on other platforms for sake of just having other stuff out there, you know, but for the daily maintenance, that's where I communicate the most and share the most.
did you ever go global with your art? Has your art stayed in the United States? Have you ever done anything different from that?
So I physically am usually here because of my kids and my husband travels a lot. So I decided years ago when we bought this house and moved to Ohio, I didn't want to leave my parents in Tennessee where I'm from. I didn't want to leave my family and move to Ohio. And my husband said, if you move, we got to move and we'll buy a house and you can have a studio, like you can pick, you know, a room. So we bought the house with in mind for me to have a studio. And I also told myself at the time, I probably won't be doing as many like 3D world stuff just because I'm so needed here physically. So I decided I would just be internet, you know, and my content has been global for several years now in the sense that in 2015, 16, 17, I was reposted to a lot of global accounts overseas that share artists' work. So I have sold work in Australia, Canada, and I've had interest globally for some time now. I get messages in different languages. It's just amazing. And so that happened just because, like I said, my content was reposted to these larger international kind of, they're not like gallery sites. They're just like pages that want to repost artists' work. So,
When are you coming to Florida to get out of the cold?
well, I was just there in June. You know, my friend Eddie is an artist in Miami, and I don't know if I'll get invited to something else. I would love to, and maybe he will. Hopefully, you know, we would totally come back.
You always have a place with me.
Oh, thank you,
You're
thank you. I
welcome.
appreciate that. Yeah.
So, Sarah, you mentioned that you have kids, and I know that I saw a little bit sometimes in the videos of the kids. You're just sweet little. Do you have a boy and a girl, or?
Yes, a boy and a girl, Vivian and Leo.
And do they help with the art? Do they do? I know that the first graders in my class, they want to draw all day long. That's all they want to do is draw.
Oh yeah.
And
They
color.
like to come in here and draw. So we have come in here sometimes, but not quite as much as I would like, just because there's been times it was just too. My son he's just not quite tamed yet.
Yeah.
You know, it's just how it is.
Boys will be boys. I know. My son is
Right.
16, but they grow so fast. You know, you're
I
hoping that they
know.
get older and then you turn around and they don't want to walk with you at the mall. They're like, can you walk over there and I'll walk over here? So it goes from, I want to be with you all the time to, can you go away? So
I
it
know.
changes and then you miss what you once had, you know? So
Right.
it goes through
Yeah.
stages, but, you know, you'll always remember these days, I think.
Yes.
Have you ever
Yes.
drawn your children? Have you ever done photos of your
No,
children?
I've thought about it. I'm just not quite there on my journey, I guess, because with my the work I've done, and I know it, and sometimes I think to myself, like, are people just like, does this woman just sit around drawing herself all the time? Like, that's not how it happened. It's like over several years, it was like each time I would think of different poses I wanted to evoke. It was always about evoking emotion. So I never got caught up in like, who is this? Because I also was like, well, it can be a representation for everyone of like feminine energy, and
It's
that's kind of
subjective.
how.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's
I'm
subjective.
always coming from a point of trying to express emotion. Like this one here, I don't know if you can see it that well. This one's called Emergence, and it's really
There it
like
is.
a person emerging out of another person, but it's symbolic
I
of,
see the
you know, emotion.
background. Yeah, I see the
Of,
background. I see another person in the back. It's like a cocoon, like someone coming out of a cocoon almost. Like, I
yeah,
see.
yeah.
Yeah,
And so, you know,
it's
I don't know if I'll
powerful.
do another one like that, but that's exactly how I felt at that time when I was working on that one, and I just needed to get it out, you know.
What would you tell people that, that they want to draw or they want to paint and they don't think that they're very good? What would your advice be to them?
I think, first off, I feel like everyone feels that way. It's like a universal thing. And I think most people, I think there's a lot of elementary school art trauma. I think kind of everyone, I mean, I can't tell you how often I've heard that. So I don't like that happened to people, however many, you know, what era. I don't know how it is these days. I would hope it's not like that, but I've
No.
heard just so many stories that I'm like, this is a thing. And then
Yeah.
people, it's like it's hard to move on from that. When you're told, you know, or you can't draw, or that looks, you know, whatever. And so that's a very universal feeling. And so you have to kind of recognize that energy, that negative energy from those early experiences, and just release it. Because drawing, which art can be not involve drawing. There's been lots of paintings I made that were just pushing paint around at different points in my journey when I didn't feel comfortable drawing because it felt too stressful, or too, like, I didn't want to use that part of my brain. So I think it's important to get out of your head the whole, like, I can't draw good thing. It's the same as, like, I can't play the piano. Well, yeah, I can't play the piano today, but maybe after some practice I could. So it's
It's a
a technique.
mindset.
Drawing is a technical skill. It's very much a technical skill that, again, there's all this inner child stuff with the art teachers and I don't know why. People were just mean. They're just mean about it. I don't know. But there's a lot of people have that universal. So, but if you look at stuff on Pinterest or the internet, and you start to collect things that inspire you, that you like, you can start trying to draw and mimic things just to learn. It's just a learning process. They make you do that in art school. You can even get tracing paper and trace, or
I do
print,
that.
you know, get a book, whatever. Like, and that just helps your hand get used to, like, different curves. You know, if that's a skill set that you want to develop, or if you just want to, like, do abstract stuff, that again is also extremely cathartic.
We both had the same word. We both love that word.
Yeah.
I remember coloring in one of those adult coloring books. I know that sounds weird, but the adult
Yeah,
coloring books
yeah.
for and thinking, oh, I don't know if this looks good or not. And then I said to myself, I'm going to stop worrying about if it looks good. It feels good
You
when I
you
do it. The
have to. That's
crayons
the
feel
other.
good. The texture feels good. There's something about the color that feels good. And if something feels good, you should go with it, right?
Yes,
Whether you're a
yes,
great
yes.
artist or not. But
Yes, I know. That is one of my passions. I hope to, I don't know, make more content or some of just helping people heal the artist wound that so many people incur. I would say prior to high school, there's been something, someone has said something to a lot of people, and then they're just deterred. They're
yeah,
deterred, and they don't go back. I've noticed they don't
it's like a stigma.
try.
Yeah,
It's hard. And I know it's hard,
it is.
but yeah.
So if you had to give advice to a young artist, suppose that you had a protege, you had a young artist and he or she was following you and they wanted to do art like you, what would you tell them? What would you call your kind of art? Like, how would you categorize it and tell them, this is what I do and, this is what you can do?
Um, well, as far as categorizing it, I guess I think of it as kind of, I mean, I think of it as emotional art, but it could be maybe expressionism. I don't know, abstract. I really don't know from a technical aspect, but I do have a little a mentee. My neighbor that lives nearby is 24, and she found me online. We didn't know we were neighbors. Like, she lives around the corner, and so she comes over and we work together. And I've told her, you can make a background with acrylic paint. You can kind of splatter the colors around and use a brush, like a round brush, and just push the color around in a circle, because that's easy. You want it to be mindless. I think there's part of it you want to be mindless because it feels good. You're just play some music, light a candle, push the colors around, and then let that be the background and let it dry. And then later on, you can draw a symbol, or you could draw a heart. You can be very simple, or an animal, or whatever the person is comfortable with. You can put that second layer of some kind of object on top of your abstract painting with acrylic, or anything really. And so that's something I learned, that I liked to use my abstract brain first for the first layer, and then wait and come back another day when I felt like really using the part of my brain that kind of does the composition more, because they're two different parts. So
I noticed that when you do your Instagram videos, a lot of times you use different music in there. You use very hypnotic music, very beautiful music, and it
Yes.
kind of goes with the paintings. And what made you do something like that?
So on Instagram, I will save audio when I find it that is like hits me in some kind of way emotionally. And then I'll just have it saved. And then when I put together a video, which is just when I have some time and I'm looking at my camera roll of things I've taken video of, and then I'll be inspired by the music and I'll clip together with the audio. But the music is so important, I think, and I love that that's not available, because that didn't used to be a thing. A few years ago, you couldn't do that.
It blends
So I love
beautifully. Yeah, it blends
Yeah.
beautifully. Sarah, I am
Yeah.
so happy that I got to meet you. I'm so happy that everyone got to meet you. And can you give
too.
us your Instagram handle again? Can you share that with
Yes.
us?
Yes, it's at Sarah Dalesandro, which is SARAHD as in dog, ALESANDRO. And I was lucky to get that handle across all platforms, because most Dalesandros have 2 S's. But my husband's family just has 1 S, so I pretty much got it everywhere.
Well, I'm proud of myself that I said it correctly, because as a teacher, I don't like when people say names wrong or mispronounce things.
I didn't say it till we were dating for a while, to be honest.
But I wanted to show your journal one more time because it's so beautiful and I'm obsessed with it. I look at it all the time. This is
thank
Sarah's journal. We have rain in the background. It rains every day in Florida, pretty much. And it's really, really beautiful. And you could see different colors in the background. You can almost feel things when you see it. You can feel like a sense of passion and belonging and catharsis. Being cathartic.
you.
Catharsis is a word I just made up 5 seconds ago. But Sarah, I think we'll be friends for a while. And I think I'll be following your art for a while. And I know you're going to be doing great things. And I'm sure you'll have a lot more followers.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I'm excited to just share whatever comes through and let my creativity evolve, and just however it wants to come out.
Thank you for sharing your creativity with us and your art and your passion. And we look forward to seeing more of you and hearing more of you. I know I'll be listening in and I'll be watching the
Thank you,
Instagram.
Denise.
So it was a
Thank
pleasure
you.
to meet you. And
Pleasure
here's
to meet you as well. Yes, thank you so much.
Let the catharsis begin.
Yes.
Thank you so much, Sarah. We'll talk to you maybe again soon. Maybe you'll come back for another show and do something else.
Thank you so much, Denise.
Bye, Sarah. Thank you.
All right, bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you for tuning in to Gypsy Soul. Make sure to stop by next time for another enlightening show. A show that was produced by Ant Media Productions and hosted by Denise Marsh.